On behalf of our principals, Al and Stephen Libfeld, and my colleagues at Tribute, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to Premier Ford, Minister Piccini, MPP Bethlenfalvy, MPP McCarthy, and MPP Coe. I'd also like to welcome Mayor Kevin Ashe. Thank you for coming today. We are proud to have all of you here at the site of one of Tribute's master-planned mixed-use communities, known as Viewpoint, here in the city of Pickering. With our first 3 buildings currently under construction, the site will ultimately be home to over 1,600 units, including 27 for families through partnership with Habitat for Humanity. Tribute has been building communities for over 40 years and built over 40,000 homes across the province and take great pride in the partnerships and relationships we have with our amazing government partners at the local and provincial level. We hope to build more homes for the city of Pickering and across Ontario for the next 40 years, and days like today only strengthen the future of the workers and projects being built here in Ontario. Premier Ford, your constant focus, investment, and efforts related to the housing industry and skilled trades have given us the confidence to continue to invest in this province despite the difficult economic times. Thank you to you and your amazing team for prioritizing this industry. At this time, I'd like to invite another great leader, Kevin Ashe, the Mayor of Pickering, to say a few words.
Thank you, Steve. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Pickering. It's truly a pleasure to welcome you here in our beautiful city. I want to extend a warm welcome to Premier Ford, to Minister Piccini, the Minister of Environment, my friend Todd McCarthy, the Honourable Peter Bethlenfalvy, who has a second job as Minister of Finance, but his first job is the MPP for Pickering Uxbridge. Your presence today demonstrates your strong commitment to the people of Pickering and Durham Region, and we are grateful for your continued support. Ontario workers, Mr. Premier, are the backbone of our economy. Right here in Pickering, we're proud to be home to a growing and diverse workforce, especially in critical sectors like construction, skilled trades, manufacturing, and much more. From apprenticeships and training opportunities to new infrastructure and housing development, our region is buzzing with activity and ambition. But we know there are times are challenging. Between tariff pressures, economic uncertainty, and the ongoing housing crisis, it's clear our communities and local employers are facing real challenges. That's why this announcement could be more timely. This announcement is an investment in our youth, our workers, the future of Pickering, and all of Ontario. It will help individuals gain skills and access good-paying jobs while supporting local businesses that are ready to grow and hire. And ensures projects like Tribute Communities Viewpoint keep moving forward, addressing housing needs and creating real economic opportunities here at home. This investment is exactly what our region needs as we continue building a strong and inclusive future. So once again, thank you, Premier Ford, Minister Piccini, Minister McCarthy, my friend MPP Coe, and Minister Bethlenfalvy for being here. And with that, I'd like to introduce our MPP and the Ontario Minister of Finance, the Honourable Peter Bethlenfalvy.
Thank you, Kevin. And before I start, I want to say thank you for being here. But can we have a round of applause for all the great workers who are building this great building here in Ontario and in Pickering? And Steve tells me there's a few more buildings in the hopper, so keep building. You know, that's what we love. People need housing. They need affordable housing. And working together, we're going to get it done. We're building together. And good morning, everybody. It's fantastic to be here with Premier Ford. I think he's visited Pickering dozens of times, a great supporter of not only Pickering, but the whole region. My colleague Todd McCarthy, all the way in Durham, Minister Piccini just on the other side of the border, right next door, and partly in Durham, and of course the great MPP for Whitby, Lorne Coe. By the way, Lorne Coe, you know, I call him the Gordie Howe of politics because he's run 9 times and he's won 9 times, and the 10th time will make him, does anyone know what? The Guy Lafleur of. And then my Toronto colleagues say, no, the George Armstrong wore number 10. So 9 for 9, 10 for 10, Lorne Coe. You know, Pickering is a city on the rise. We've got towers and building and a growing community all around us, and people want to live in this community. It's attracting growth and attracting investment and attracting opportunities where people can live, get a good job, get an education, and raise a family safely and to thrive in this community. But none of this happens by accident. It takes commitment and strong partnerships and a shared vision to bring this together for a more brilliant and resilient future for not just residents here in Pickering and in Durham, but right across Ontario. Yesterday, we launched the new Protect Ontario financing program with up to $1 billion in funding available to support Ontario businesses impacted by the U.S. tariffs. This funding will help avoid business closures, protect workers from layoffs, and safeguard critical supply chains in the face of U.S. tariffs and economic uncertainty. And under the leadership of Premier Ford, our government is leaving no stone unturned in our efforts to protect workers and businesses from the economic challenges facing Ontario. So it's with that, as part of the great team that we have under Premier Ford, to introduce a good friend and colleague, someone who works 24/7 on behalf of the workers across Ontario and the skilled trades, a friend of mine, the Minister of Labour, Immigration Training and Skills Trade Development. I'm glad it's on the screen because I'd never remember all that. The Honourable David Piccini. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter, and good morning, everyone. Thank you to my colleague Peter Bethlenfalvy for that introduction, for the incredible work he's doing to support and finance these programs that support workers, our next generation. He's right. Today is about them. And today is about the tens of thousands of them who are in the pipeline, who want to be a part of building a stronger Ontario. And it's an honor to be here today with Premier Ford in Pickering, home to some of the hardest working people in our great province, and a symbol of Ontario's strength. Thank you to ResCon, Andrew, and Tribute Community, Steve and Al, a titan in the industry, for welcoming us all here at this site today. Over 1,600 units coming online. And a special shout out, of course, to all of the guests who are standing alongside us. My colleagues MPP McCarthy, MPP Coe, Christine, Vice Chair of the Board of Directors at the Innovation Cluster, Neil Forrester, CEO of Substance Cares, Dave Ellis, President of First Robotics. Of course, Dan, whose wife is great-grandfather is it's just incredible. Diefenbaker, I feel you should be at the podium here. John Diefenbaker. Dan is president of DNR Custom Steel. He's doing an incredible job. Taylor Drew, owner of Drew Carpentry. Taylor, thank you for the work, Tyler, that you're doing. Greatly appreciate it. And of course, Ian Howcroft, who's here, Skills Ontario, who are literally breaking down barriers for youth, tackling the stigma that has traditionally been associated with the skilled trades. He's tackled it, promoting better training, better jobs with bigger paychecks, and you're at the backbone of that. So thank you, Ian. Since 2021, our government, under the leadership of Premier Ford, and with the support of incredible industry leaders, has helped connect over 700,000 job seekers with training opportunities. Just think about that, 700,000 job seekers, to start rewarding and successful careers through our $2.5 billion Skills Development Fund. And today we're building on the momentum of the last 4 years, and we're ensuring that workers and job seekers across the province have better training for better jobs with bigger paychecks. And we need that, of course, now more than ever before. We're at a critical point, and a point in time where protecting Ontario and Canada is more important than ever before, and this Premier has answered the call. He stepped up, uniting this country, ensuring our workforce and our province is ready to meet any challenge. But to do that, you got to make sure you're training the next generation. And we have an ambitious plan to build, a $200 billion plan. Roads, bridges, factories, and homes. High-rise buildings like the ones you see behind us. And that means we need a strong, highly skilled workforce to get it done. And with 1 in 3 men and women in the skilled trades are retiring in the next decade, we need a next generation of apprentices. Recently, we announced our 6th round of the Skills Development Fund, $260 million for innovative projects that are going to protect Ontario workers, equip them with the skills and tools they need to succeed. And that's why we're here today, to highlight how we're training the workers who will build Ontario's future. You're going to hear from Premier Ford. It's all about partnership. You have so many incredible partners here, offering rewarding opportunities, exposing youth to VR, equipping youth with the skill sets they need to thrive, equipping teachers with the skill sets they need to teach a next generation of trades workers. supporting folks in the construction sector, not just with skilled trades, but with the skill sets to take on and run companies. And of course, we're leaving no one behind, supporting over 40 youth. Today you'll hear from Premier with autism. You know, few, not enough young men and women with a developmental disability are unemployed. And under this Premier, we're tackling that with our Skills Development Fund. So with that, whether it's construction, manufacturing, or the skilled trades, Ontario workers are our past. They're our present and they are our future, and that's why we're here today. And under the leadership of this Premier, we believe in the strength of those workers. We believe in the power that training has to change lives. So I want to introduce a champion for the next generation of workers. There's no bigger champion than our Premier, Premier Doug Ford. Thank you, everyone.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone, and it's great to be back here in beautiful Pickering. And I know we've announced everyone about 8 times, so I'm just going to run through it one more time. Joined by the Minister of Money, I call him Moneybags, Minister Bethlenfalvy. He watches every single penny there is. He always says, I have one hand in his pocket, and Minister Vic Fideli has another hand, but we're just trying to make sure we get that money out the door. Minister Piccini, you're doing an incredible job. Minister McCarthy is, and the best dressed guy ever, Minister, yeah, he'll be a minister very shortly, hopefully, Lauren Coe. Thank you, Lauren, for everything you do, and the great Mayor, Kevin Ashe. I also want to thank, as you heard earlier, Steve and Al and Phil from Tribute, and I love your ads too. One of the top in the entire country when it comes to residential builds, and I just want to thank you for everything you do, as well the entire team at ResCon for hosting us today. And we never forget, as I know they've been mentioned a couple times, but the great skilled trade workers right behind us, nothing would happen without them. And I just want to again say thank you to everyone for coming today. Folks, I want to first acknowledge this morning's announcement that the Ontario Public Service will be returning to office full-time in the coming months. And I want to thank our incredible public servants for the work they do for the people of Ontario every single day. Ontario's public service is the best in the entire country. They've been effective and professional, helping Ontario face down major challenges, including the challenge we now face from south of the border. Our province is in a fight for our lives, and I could not deliver on our plan to protect Ontario's economy, our workers, and our future without our public service. As we move forward, I know the people of Ontario can count on the dedication and experience of the public service as we support workers, attract investments, and get shovels in the ground on the largest plan to build in our history. So again, thank you. And let me be clear, with President Trump's tariffs causing global instability and economic uncertainty, our government is laser focused on protecting Ontario jobs and growing our economy. That's why we're investing more than $200 billion in our plan to build Ontario's roads, highways, transit, hospitals, schools, and much more. So we can keep workers on the job and build for the future. Here in Durham, our plan includes extending GO service to Bowmanville, widening Highway 401, and supporting Lake Ridge Health's expansion across the region. We're also ensuring that Durham Region remains a world leader in nuclear power by refurbishing the Pickering and Darlington nuclear stations and building 4 cutting-edge small modular reactors at the Darlington site. We're also putting more money back into people's pockets by eliminating costly tolls on highways 412, 418, and 407 East. Now, I've had a conversation with Minister Bethlenfalvy. I think we've been getting a few calls since we opened up the highway, no tolls. It's getting pretty busy. So we'll come up with a strong plan to make sure we keep people moving. But the most important thing, people that use it all the time are putting thousands of dollars a year back in their pockets. It's all part of our plan to protect Ontario, and the best way to protect Ontario's economy is to invest in Ontario's workers. That's why I'm so proud of our Skills Development Fund. This fund is helping organizations across the province provide the training and upskilling that job seekers need to find good paying work. In the face of President Trump's tariffs, that support for workers is more important than ever before. That's why we expanded the fund to a total of $2.5 billion in this year's provincial budget. This expanded fund will help train even more workers and help Ontario stand up to tariffs and economic uncertainty. Today, I'm very excited to announce that over $2.8 million from the fund will go to 5 training projects across Durham Region. These investments will help boost the local economy and keep workers on the jobs. They include support to train workers in the home building construction, carpentry, and manufacturing sectors, as well as support to help tradespeople get the training they need to start and run their own businesses. I want to acknowledge and thank all our partners. I know you've mentioned everyone, but let's go through it again, including Drew Construction, D&R Custom Steel, First Robotics Canada, and Peterborough and Kawartha's Innovation Centre Cluster. I also want to acknowledge the great work being done by Substance Cares, who will be using their funding to help people with autism access training in construction and carpentry and support them in finding work. And I'm thrilled to be here in Durham as we continue to work to protect the people of Ontario, the workers, the communities and their families. And to all the workers here today, I promise you, our government will always have your backs. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
We will now take questions from the media. Media present can line up behind me and ask their questions through the microphone. As a friendly reminder, the format is 1 question and 1 follow-up. Please state your name and your outlet before your question. First question.
Morning, Lane Harrison, CBC News. I'm curious, Premier, when it comes to the public servants going back to work, there's been a lot of debate in society about this topic. Where do you stand? Do you think that people are going to be more productive if they're back to work, or do you think that some people, it's true that they're more productive at home?
Well, I believe everyone's more productive when they're at work. And how do you mentor someone over a phone? You can't. You got to look at them eye to eye, over the water cooler, wherever, train them, camaraderie. Plus the economy, too. I'll just use downtown Toronto, for example. The path. You know, there's hard-working entrepreneurs that their businesses basically just died when, when they weren't seeing the flow of traffic. But I understand all the companies I've talked to, from the banks to the insurance companies to everyone else, everyone needs to go back to work. Half the public service is already at work 5 days a week, and I want to thank them. And I just look forward to having everyone back to work.
And just on the topic of why now, is the big banks sending people back to work and Rogers sending people back to work, did that factor into your government's decision on why to do this now?
No, I think it's just time. Everyone's kind of saying it's time to get back to work. It's simple as that. So we look forward to having everyone back. I'm very grateful for the work they do. We have best public service in Canada, and I appreciate the work they do every day.
Hi, Premier. It's John Woodward from CTV News.
Yes.
You're aware, no doubt, by now that the driver who's accused of dangerous driving in the death of Andrew Castillo, that father of 3, is the same one that hit you back in January. Yeah. I wondered what went through your head when you realized that connection and whether you think that guy should have been driving.
He, number one, as far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't have been driving. He hit us over 200 kilometers an hour. You know, it's heart-wrenching when you talk to the family. The father that got killed, I talked to his father, and it's just heart-wrenching. You think of 3 young girls, his wife that has cancer. Everyone has to pitch in and help this family. It's terrible. And this person being able to get out there and drive, it's in front of the courts. I wish I could say what's on my mind right now, but I think people know how I feel and everyone else in Ontario feels about this person. Just reckless, careless I better stop because I don't want to. I don't want any problems when he goes to court. So, just frustrating. It's heart aching, and I just, our condolences and our prayers go out to the family. And I know people of Ontario will support him any way we can.
In my conversations with the family members there, they've been pushing for systemic change. One of the options might be to provincially, in the provincial licensing system, provide some restrictions for drivers after they have been charged criminally with things like dangerous driving.
Yeah.
Is that something you'd support?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's long overdue. So we'll look at it. But these people, there isn't a person out there that drives on the highway. You don't see these sporty little cars whipping in and out all over the place. They're racing from point A to point B. You know, it's just terrible. They need to have their license taken away. Cars impounded. Because you're taking a life, a father's life, a brother's life. You know, that's just very sad.
Just one more. I mean, do you worry that could have been you?
Well, it could have, like 3-4 inches more. He hit me right on my door, going over 200 kilometers an hour. We didn't even know it hit us. We were just driving straight. And he swooped across 3 lanes from an on-ramp, just reckless, careless, stunt driving. And yeah, we were lucky, literally by inches. And he gets back in the car and acts like an idiot, driving recklessly. Just, again, I'll stop.
Hi, Premier. Jessica from the Trillium here. I'm hoping to follow up on yesterday's announcement concerning the Protecting Ontario account. What do you see as how to spend the remaining $4 billion in that account? Is this something you could use to support specific important projects or companies, or establishing more funds? What do you think it should be spent on?
Yeah, I'll say a few comments, and I'm going to pass it over to my Minister of Finance. You know, I get messages every single day. I go out there. Companies are hurting, especially the ones that rely on our trade deal going back and forth across the border. Those who aren't covered in the CUSMA or USMCA deal, they're getting hit, especially the auto sector, the steel sector, they're getting hit. But we're going to be there to support them. Our goal is to onshore every possible product we can until they don't have to face the tariffs, and it will create more jobs. So that's what we're working on with the Minister of Economic Development and Trade. And every single person's job, as far as I'm concerned, is to find products and onshore them. What really bothers me lately, and I got to have a chat with all the retailers, the big five. I've heard many stories that you're outsourcing out of our country when there's great manufacturers here. I heard a story yesterday that you're going to Thailand, you're going to China, pulling business away from Ontario workers. If I have to put a Canadian flag and every other flag on every single product and legislate it until the consumer can see that you aren't pulling the wool over their eyes, because that's what they're doing, and I still have to get a can of Campbell soup that's putting that Canadian flag on, that's not being manufactured here, misleading the people, and getting it, getting it produced in Camden, New Jersey, the can, the label, the stuff inside. And do you know what they put? Recipe of Canada. Do you think the people of Ontario are that dumb? Like, I'm gonna call you out and get one of those cans. I'm gonna rip that label off and encourage people to buy made in Ontario, made in Canada soup. And maybe what you should do is bring back your manufacturing facility that you closed down in Etobicoke and got rid of hundreds of people. But I just can't stand sneaky companies that do stuff like that. So, I'm sorry. Over to you, Peter. You got on a rant there.
You're on a roll, Premier. No, thank you for the question. Look, Premier, you and I and a few others were at the Oshawa plant a few months ago. There's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty at the auto sector, the steel sector. The message is we've got your back, whether it's skills development, whether it's the liquidity facility that we announced yesterday, whether it's the next $4 billion, whether it's putting out the tax deferrals, some $11 billion that we announced 4 or 5 months ago. We're going to be there. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of uncertainty, but I'll put up our Ontario workers, our education system, our skilled workers, and our innovative riskers of capital against any economy in the world. And make no mistake, that this government will have your back. We're going to work with you, and we'll do more as we negotiate with the U.S. Clearly, the trading relationship with the U.S., as the Premier just said, is going to change forever. It's not the same. Now, by force of geography and culture and language, we're going to continue to have a great relationship with the U.S., but now tariffs don't help anybody. They don't help the U.S., they don't help Canadians. It's a tax on U.S. consumers. And while we go through this period of uncertainty, make sure that Ontario and this government will work night and day to make sure that we can transition to a more productive time and rise up again with our economy.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
He does a great job, by the way, watching every single penny.
Sorry, Premier, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, sorry.
For my follow-up, I was wondering if you could elaborate on the comments you made earlier about calls Minister Bethlenfalvy is getting about highway congestion now that there are no tolls on the formerly tolled highway.
I was getting the calls, but I always tell him the calls because he's from... So people are coming home from the cottage. It's getting pretty jammed up on there. But if it's jammed up there, I always say it must be taking congestion off another part, I guess the 401. So I think in the long term, we might have to we'll work with the Minister of Transportation and obviously the person that controls the money, Minister Bethlenfalvy, to see if we can maybe add lanes on either side. I know through his great leadership and the rest of the Durham team, they're widening Highway 7, and the mayor is as happy as punch about adding those extra lanes along Highway 7 because they're growing so quickly, and adding companies up here because the mayor has created the environment and conditions for companies to come here and invest in their innovation park, and they're just he's a great mayor. He's doing an incredible job. So we're looking at a plan to lighten up the traffic.
Hey, Premier. Barbara with QP Briefing.
Hi.
My question is about a case that took place in March this year. A judge appointed by your government refused to give a 5-time impaired driver the mandatory sentence of 4 months in jail that is required by law. This judge, Justice Kathira Jalali, gave respondent Joseph Leclerc 4 months of house arrest instead of the mandatory 4 months in jail. And as I said, the respondent was a 5-time impaired driver, and he was high on fentanyl and driving the wrong way down a Mississauga street while on a 2-year driving ban. This judge was appointed by your government, so you have said in the past, just like seeing her actions now and considering, everything you have said about bleeding heart judges, do you think you made a mistake in this appointment, and do you believe she should be reprehended for refusing to follow the law?
That's the best question you've ever asked me.
Wow.
That's a very good question. I'm going to look into this, Judge. I don't even know. I don't sit there and handpick judges. That goes through a whole process, Attorney General and everything. But you're right. We do have weak-kneed judges. Not all, because we have great judges. Let me qualify that. Great judges, but we have some weak-kneed ones that make big-time mistakes. And so I'll look into this. But I'm glad you're holding them accountable. That's good. The media has a role to play. You got to call them out. You got to call them out by name, too, because who are they accountable to? Judge gets a job. He has a job for life. It's like that judge that made a big mistake on the bike lanes. But, anyways, we'll look into that. But thank you for that, and keep calling these ridiculous non-sentences out if you could, because who does that, right? Guy's been impaired 5 times and let him out? You got to be kidding me. And by the way, we're building quite a few more jails to keep all these bad guys in jail.
Thank you, Premier. I'm not sure if you're going to like the second question
That's
as
all
much
right.
as about
I get
housing.
the good and the bad, but go ahead.
So the CMHC projection showed annual housing starts dropping into the low 60,000 range from 2025 onward, which is far below the 150,000 to 175,000 annual target that you set out. So pretty much what this means is that from 2026 onwards, Ontario will need to build nearly 3 times its forecast pace to hit the annual 170,000 yearly target. And this is despite considering long-term care beds, retirement homes, and student dormitories as well in the housing statistics. So you said that you're going to meet with the PM this Monday for a heart-to-heart. I'm just wondering if you're going to make the case for him about removing the HST entirely federally and provincially, and not only for first-time home buyers, especially considering these last numbers?
That wasn't a bad one. That's an accurate statement. That was very good, actually. You know, you go peaks and valleys. I'll tell you what's causing this problem. Number one is the uncertainty. People are nervous as anything out there if they're going to have a job or not. That's probably one of the number one reasons. Number two, the Governor of Bank of Canada has to lower those interest rates. He mentioned that below 2%, you'll lower them. Didn't lower them. Got 2.75%. Knock them down 0.5% or even a full percentage. You'll see the market take off like greased lightning there. And as for the HST, I got my knuckles wrapped a little bit from the finance minister because he's doing his job. That's a lot of money, but that's something we'll sit down with the finance minister and the prime minister and see how we can look at the HST for certain sectors. And the other thing is a big one. I know the mayor may not like this, but the DCs. You got to knock down some of the DCs. So if everyone pitches in, the province, the cities, and the feds, it's never just one level of government. We need everyone pitching in. And then the stress tests. Folks, I'm going to simplify this. If people don't understand the stress tests, let's just say your interest rate, I'm just throwing out wild numbers, 3%. Then you go to the bank, they put 2% on top of that. You have to make sure that you can handle the 2% interest hike. Let's knock it down by 1% at least. And I get it. You don't want to be in the 2008 scenario that you owe more than what the house is worth, but you got to get more people approved to buy homes. And how you're able to buy a home is get a good paying job. And so we're trying to create that environment and conditions. But I can promise you one thing, we're going to get out of this little rut. You ask the construction professionals, been in the game longer than I have. It's up and down, and this time it's down, but it's up to us to create the environment and the conditions to give people confidence.
Can I sorry, Premier, very quickly, can I get a yes or no on whether you're going to bring up the HST cut to the Prime Minister?
I'll mention it to him, but we have to be prudent fiscal managers too, and that's something that I appreciate the finance minister. I'm out there saying, yeah, let's get it done. He's saying, hey, we got to watch the dollars and cents. And that's why I love him. I always tell him he's the best finance minister ever. So it's a happy balance. But we'll run through it, and we'll do everything we can. We'll do everything possibly we can to make that happen. Here he comes, the money man himself.
We are attached at the hip. I just want to point out on tax cuts and reducing taxes, there's no government, there's no premier across Canada that's done more work together cutting taxes and fees. We're a government that puts more money back into people's pockets, back into business pockets so that they can invest. They're the risk takers, they're the spenders. Just in the last budget, I highlighted that we had $13 billion of tax cuts, fee relief for businesses, and $12 billion. $13 billion for businesses, $12 billion for individuals. So we're always looking at ways that we can put more money back into people's pockets and businesses, and we do it very fiscally responsible. We have some of the best debt metrics in over a decade, interest metrics over the last decade. And don't listen to me, listen to the two credit rating agencies that upgraded our credit rating. And by the way, our tariff budget that we put together in May after getting reelected, other provinces had their budgets and credit ratings downgraded. We didn't. So we're fiscally responsible with our money so that we can put money back into people's pockets and back into businesses' pockets, and that's why I think we do so well together, Premier.
Absolutely.
This will be the last reporter.
I'm melting here, literally. There's a lot to melt, I'll tell you.
I'll try and make it quick. Hi, Premier Alison Jones with the Canadian Press.
Hi, Alison.
I wanted to ask about the wildfire situation. There's a lot of fires across Ontario right now, even in Kawartha Lakes. And I think just about every province in the country right now is experiencing wildfires. So resource sharing between provinces must be kind of difficult at the moment. Given all that, is it time to look at putting more resources into wildfire fighting?
Yeah, we are actually. We're buying new water bombers. The problem with the water bombers, they're taking 3 to 4 years because everyone needs them. We're also looking at the large helicopters that you've seen on television scoop up water. We put resources in Newfoundland. We have some water bombers there. I had a call from Premier Holt from New Brunswick. They're facing problems. It's a conversation that we had with the Prime Minister that we need resources, national resources across the country because it happens frequently. We send firefighters in, we send equipment in and help each other. But right now, like everywhere seems to have issues, every single province. So we're putting more money in to answer your question. But we need to do it quicker. We got to get the company that makes the water bombers to make them a lot faster, quicker.
On the federal angle, is that something you'll be bringing up with the Prime Minister on Monday?
Yeah.
And can you sort of tell me specifically what you're looking for? And just on the New Brunswick request, did they request resources from Ontario but were not able to spare any?
Yeah, we can't right now. We gave resources to Newfoundland. And we brought this up to the Prime Minister over at the Council of Federation meeting. And we're going to follow up on a conversation. I'm sure he understands the situation that we're facing across the country, but it happens every year. So we need to ramp up everything possible. I had a meeting with David Piccini, and that actually came up today with our friends from the Firefighters Association. So we're building a good, strong strategy.
That concludes our press conference. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.